Looking at these three stages, most people would probably say the biggest change was the color. Would you agree? I wouldn't. The biggest transformation happened underneath all of that. It happened in the values. And today, I'm not going to explain values the way they are usually taught. Instead, I'm going to show you how I personally think about values while I'm painting. We're going to look at the different stages of art from heart and compare them with their value maps. As the painting evolves, you'll see how the values change and how those changes affect the depth, movement, atmosphere, and emotional impact of the painting. If you're currently working on a painting that feels flat, chaotic, or unfinished, this might give you a different way to think about your own work. But before we dive into it, hi, my name is Fifi, an abstract painter based in California and a member of the Pacific Art League in the Bay Area. On this channel, I share my studio process, practical tips and thoughts for artists, and the way I think through color and layers as each painting develops. So if you're new here, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any upcoming videos. Before we begin, if you haven't seen the previous Art from Heart videos, don't worry, this video will make sense on its own. But if you'd like to see how the painting evolved from the very first layer to the final version, I'll leave the links to the full Art from Heart series in the description below. Before we look at the final value structure, let's go back and see how values developed. I'll walk you through the three stages of Art from Heart, looking at both the color version and its value map at each stage. Now let's start with stage one. When we look at the color version of the painting, it feels dreamy, soft, and atmospheric. Now, when we switch to its value map, we can begin to understand why this softness. Notice that most of the painting sits within the middle values, with only gentle transitions between light and dark areas. There aren't many strong contrasts that attract the attention. Because of that, the colored painting feels soft and atmospheric and less structured. This feeling lets the eye keep moving gently around the painting, and it doesn't really find a clear path to follow or a specific place to settle. Instead, it wanders through the surface. And honestly, that's not necessarily a weakness. If you're trying to create an atmospheric effect, softer value transitions can help. This stage already contains the atmosphere, one of the qualities that I wanted to preserve throughout the entire process. Even though the painting changed dramatically later on, that dreamy feeling was already present from the very beginning, from this stage. So why I did continue then? Well, this stage to me lacks a structure. There is already a sense of depth beginning to emerge, as you can see in the value map, but it lacks rhythm and structure. That's why I decided to add some, using stencils here and there, trying to organize them across the canvas using several colors and adjusting the values from time to time until I reach the second stage. Now look at the value map of the second stage. The depth is there, and now there is also rhythm. There are more dark accents than before, which increases the contrast and creates more visual energy in the colored painting. I also managed to create a subtle path through the middle, as you can see here. Compared to the value map of stage one, the eye moves better across the surface, but the surface around the path now becomes more crowded. The forms are competing with each other, which keeps the eye wandering in the painting rather than follow this path. I addressed these issues in the final stage, as you can see here in the value map of the final painting. Notice how the dark path through the center has become more dominant. The rhythm around it is softer and less busy, which allows the eye to follow the path more easily and move inward through the painting. Compared to stage 2, there is less competition around the central area. The values are more organized, and that creates a stronger sense of depth and atmosphere. Another interesting thing is that the energy in the final painting is no longer coming mainly from the values. The values are still important because they still create the structure and depth, but much of the energy now comes from the color contrast between the bright pink flowers and the softer misty surface underneath. So in the final version, the depth is created not only through value relationships, as we can see in the value map, but also through the color contrast in the painting itself. So always remember, if your painting feels flat, look at the value structure. If it lacks movement, introduce rhythm. And if it feels chaotic, just simplify and organize the values. When I compare these 3 stages, I don't just see changes in color or texture, I see how the value structure gradually evolved and transformed in the painting. I'd love to know which stage you prefer and what you notice in the value maps. So always remember, if your painting feels flat, look at the value structure. If it lacks movement, introduce rhythm. And if it feels chaotic, just simplify and organize the values. Before I end, I'd love to know which stage you prefer and what you notice in the value maps. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share, and hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.